Good time zone, fellow Kingdom Hearts fans! Our favorite time of year has arrived, and I am so happy to be back for my 4th consecutive March Caprice in a row, and the 5th one overall. That's right, we have officially been doing this for half a decade now. Isn't that crazy? And to mark such a momentous occasion, I decided to go big or go home this year and return to my roots, but make it extra.
So I first did March Caprice in its 2nd year and did a pair of makeup looks based off the Keyblade, aka Mirage Split and Nightmare's End from Dream Drop Distance. And it was the first makeup tutorial that I ever filmed for YouTube. Since then, I've made several more looks, worked on honing my craft, experimented and acquired new skills, and even filmed an entire makeup series, which you should totally check out when you have the time. And I also started filming horizontally!
And now with all of this newly acquired wisdom, experience, and skill, I shall endeavor to attempt my craziest makeup look yet. A look based off of the Ultima weapon Keyblade from Kingdom Hearts 3. Now the design of the Keyblade alone is gonna make this look pretty ambitious to pull off, but that's not what's gonna make it crazy. What does is how I'm gonna be kicking it up a notch, and I will be attempting to incorporate paper face art. But what is that?
Well, it's the SFX makeup technique of designing and creating prosthetic elements out of paper and makeup products and incorporating them into your look. I found this amazing professional makeup artist who does this on Instagram, known as the Wigs and Makeup Manager or Sculptress, and was like, oh yeah, this is right up my alley, and immediately got inspired. So that's what I'm gonna do. So here is my concept sketch. Also, before anyone asks, I'm not gonna be bald for this, I just didn't draw my hair. As you can see, it's gonna be very in your face, and I'll be including a halo crown this time. Love me a good halo crown, you can never go wrong. And I'll also be attempting my first ombre lip, so we'll see how that goes. Now without further ado, let's jam. Now before we beat the mug, as it were, we actually gotta make the required accessories and prosthetics first, starting with the face wings. I started by creating a rough sketch with pencil on a sheet of notebook paper using my makeup sketch as a reference image. Also, while I'm at it, I want to apologize in advance if my voice sounds funny to anybody. I am currently trying to get over the worst case of the flu I've ever had in my life at the time I'm recording this voiceover, so my voice has yet to fully recover. Anyway, after I cut it out, I put it onto my face off camera to make sure it fit on my face the way I wanted it to. The good news is, the first one fit perfect, which makes my life easier. So now we make the actual wings using that as a template. And for the real deal, I'm gonna need some stronger paper, so it's finally time to bust out my new sketchbook. This is my old reliable brand of sketchbook I've been using for years. She's a mixed media and is good for pen, pencil, acrylic, and watercolor. That last one is very important. So I opened up to the first page and traced out several copies of that wing pattern. A pair for a test run, a pair for the real deal, and a couple of other pairs for backup in case I mess up painting the first one. And now to paint. And despite what I said earlier, I won't be using watercolor paint, but instead, water-activated eyeliner or hydroliner as it is also known. But why? Well, you see, we're going to be attaching this to our face, so it needs to be painted with stuff that's safe to go on our face. Traditional watercolor paint is not. So we'll be using eyeliner and copious amounts of eyeshadow, both cruelty-free, of course.
Alright. So as you can see, I haven't cut these pieces out yet because we are going to paint them while they're still a part of the paper. Because water-activated eyeliner works the same way as watercolor paint in that they're water-activated. And as anybody that works with watercolor paint knows, if you paint on the paper and you use enough water, it warps the paper. You can see right here when I did my little test run. And these are going to be very thin
areas that I'm working with here. So that runs a greater risk of the shape completely warping beyond all recognition if I cut them out first then paint them. So first off, I'll be using the silver half of my metallic silver and purple split liner to paint half of the wing, being very careful with how much water I use to further minimize the risk of paper warp. I know what's going on pretty sheer, but trust me, once I add the silver eyeshadow, it won't matter. The eyeliner is basically acting as a primer, so the eyeshadow has something to stick onto, because it won't stay on the paper otherwise. Now I'm going in with the red eyeliner and painting in the rest of the wing. I tried my best to gradient blend where the two colors met, but it just was not working. But the good news is that won't matter either, because the eyeshadow covers it up and blends so much easier. Thank goodness. Once the eyeliner had completely dried down, I broke out my eyeshadow palette and grabbed an applicator and started applying the metallic silver eyeshadow to all the silver sections. Hopefully you can see how much more opaque the shadow is making the silver color. And I'm not too worried about staying inside the lines, cause I'm just gonna cut it out anyway. After those parts got filled, I went in with my metallic red eyeshadow and went over all of the red sections. Now for some reason the red eyeshadow was being a lot more stubborn than the silver, so I had to go back into the pan a lot to get more of the product. But I still made it work. After both wings were painted, shaded, and cut out, this is the end result. You can see the difference the eyeshadow makes and how much better the gradient is. I then repeated the same process for the other paper pieces as well, except for the smaller face wings, which I had to make into layers to make the silver parts easier to color, then glued them on top of the red parts. It made for a really nice layering effect. Layers make everything better. I also applied the same eyeshadow technique to these pieces I made for the halo crown, cause I found out I had no gold or metallic red paint and I was broke and didn't want to buy more anyway, so I work with what I got. It's DIY or die in this house, baby! Alright, now that we have all of our essential pieces made and gathered, we can actually start on the makeup now! Woohoo! Since this involves prosthetics, I gotta deviate from how I normally start a look because I actually have to apply the prosthetic pieces before I put on the rest of my makeup. So let's prep our prosthetic pieces using the secret ingredient, bald cap plastic. This is how we're gonna attach the wings to my face and make it blend into my skin. First, I had to take a clean eyeshadow applicator and brush a section of the eyeshadow off the wings, just to ensure the plastic sticks better. I think this is about half an inch in width that I took off. Next, take the bald cap and put it on over top of the area you wanted and cut out a section, leaving at the most 5/8 inch of plastic around the outer edges. Now to attach the plastic to the paper and later our face, we'll be using Pros-Aid, a liquid adhesive made for SFX makeup. Grab a face paint brush, shake the bottle well before opening it, and paint the liquid onto that cleaned area of the paper. And remember not to use too much of it to prevent paper warping. You're supposed to wait until it gets tacky before putting the plastic on top, but since this is paper and not skin, that happens twice as fast. So gently touch it with your finger, and if it's tacky, start gently placing the plastic on top. Wait a minute or two for it to set, then cut away the excess around the eye hole, again leaving about 5/8 inch of plastic around the edge. My hands were shaking so badly while I was cutting it. I was so nervous because I only did this once before in an off-camera trial run. I am so relieved I didn't mess it up. I then took some of my silver eyeshadow and color-based eye primer and put it on over top of where the plastic meets the paper to try and blend it in. Now let's finally head over to the makeup table and truly get this party started. After prepping my face and gluing down my eyebrows and taking a deep breath because I was a complete nervous wreck while filming this, I took my first wing and put it up against my bare face to see where it was gonna go and where the plastic would attach. I took a detail brush and some brown eyeshadow and sketched the lines where the plastic fell on my face so I knew where to paint on the Prozade. Then I did the same thing from earlier, shook the bottle and used my face paintbrush to paint on the Prozade over top of the lines I sketched. And since this is skin, you don't have to be as light-handed. You want a nice good amount on there. Lightly tap to make sure it's tacky and then add on your wing. I ended up missing a couple spots and had to fix it here and there, but it still worked. Now this is the part where I'm supposed to blend the edges with liquid latex or dissolve the edges with face-safe acetone, but I don't have nor could I afford either of those things, so we're skipping that step. Plus, the other accessories that I'm going to add on later cover up the areas where you can see the plastic, so it doesn't really matter anyway. Wait a minute or two for the Prozade to fully dry down before moving on, and you should have a little something like this. Now we start adding liquid foundation over top of the plastic on all of the areas that are going to blend in with my skin. I avoided my eye area because that's where my eye primer is going to go. And after adding my foundation to the rest of my face, I blended the whole thing with my beauty blender sponge thingy. You know what this thing is. Finally, to set everything, I first took a sponge and applied Mehron Colorset powder onto the bald cap plastic and all the areas where it meets my skin except for the eye area. And then used my normal setting powder to set the rest of my face. And now I'm back into more familiar territory. To start on the eyeshadow, I'm going to use Beauty Creations color-based eye primer in whiteout and put it all over my eyelid all the way up to my brow bone. Then drag it all the way out onto the plastic until it meets the silver of the face wing. And I put it all the way around my under eye as well. And don't forget to add your setting powder barrier to catch eyeshadow fallout like I did. And you guys are gonna pretend that I totally did not get too excited and forget to put it on before I started my eyeshadow. Okay? Cool. And now to start adding color. First, I'm breaking out my old reliable and my favorite goth eyeshadow palette, Morbid by Nekoyanin. The palette with not one, but two black shades that do not come to play games on that color payoff. I'm going to take the matte black shade appropriately named Shadow and put that all over my inner corner. Then take an angled detail brush and create a sharp downward point. Next, I'm going to use a matte red eyeshadow and put that at the center of my eyelid, stopping just short of my outer corner. Now we're going to blend where the two colors meet. But since these are such contrasting colors, I blended with my finger first, then used a maroon eyeshadow on top to act as a transition shade, which helped create the gradient. Bringing back the metallic silver eyeshadow from earlier, I put that on my outer corner and underneath it. Then dragged it all the way out until it met the silver of the face wings. Once again, you're going to blend where the two colors meet on your eyelids, which was much easier than blending the red and black. Speaking of which, now you're going to add the red and black to your under eye and blend where those colors meet as well. Once you're happy with everything, you are now free to remove your setting powder barrier. For my contour, I didn't really do anything too crazy, just the basic stuff around the edges of my face and on the bridge of my nose. And now to move on to the face paint elements. With a picture of my makeup sketch on standby as a reference image, I used a detail brush and brown eyeshadow again to sketch out the black pieces at the center of my forehead and the silver lines that go over top of my eyebrows. Once I was happy with it, I took my black water activated eyeliner and a flat tipped eyeliner brush and started drawing and filling in the black pieces. Remember, if you're gonna attempt this look for yourself, go slow and take your time. And wait until the black completely dries down before moving on. Once it was dry, I used my metallic silver eyeliner to outline the black pieces. I had to be quick but also light-handed and careful because the silver has a nasty habit of trying to mix in with the black underneath, which is why I said to wait until the black completely dries down. And now we break out the red eyeliner to draw the heart right in between my eyebrows. You probably already noticed that I didn't sketch it out, and that's because the area was just too small, so I had to throw caution to the wind and completely freehand it. Which I was very nervous about. I was barely breathing when I was trying to pull this off. Once the red dried down, I lined the inner part with silver. Then I used the silver to paint on the lines over my eyebrows. I had to go over them with a second coat to really get them to show up. Finally, let's use the eyeliner for its original purpose and line our eyes in black. I went all the way around my eye and dragged it out past my inner corner and onto the face wing to create the largest eyeliner wing that I have ever made. And because I have super hooded eyelids, I have to use what I've heard called the Batman eyeliner to make it look like a normal wing. To finish up our eyes, I'm breaking out my Nubian Glow palette from Juvia's Place. I'm using the top left and bottom right gold shades on my inner corners to match the yellow gems on my halo crown. I know it's super subtle, but I swear it's there, guys. And now we move on to the lipstick. I'll be using two different colors today. Sleepwalker from Black Moon Cosmetics, my favorite matte black lipstick of all time, and this delicious metallic red shade called DeVille, also from Black Moon. So I looked up a bunch of ombre lip tutorials, but none of them really worked for me, so I'm just winging it. I started by applying DeVille first on the outer parts of my lips, trying my best to make my lip shape pointy looking. Next, I put Sleepwalker on the inner section and tried not to go too far past where the red starts. Then I took more of DeVille but wiped the doe foot applicator off a little bit and tried my best to blend the two colors together. Listen, I'm not gonna pretend I know what I was doing here. There was probably a better way of doing this, but that knowledge is beyond me, so take this process with a grain of salt. Now for the finishing touch, I actually couldn't film it because I had to put on a wig and then glue on all of these pieces with eyelash glue and/or Pros-Aid, which would have spoiled the full look. So I did that all off camera. Sorry! But now it's time for the final reveal. And cue the glamour shots! I hope you guys like the red mood lighting. I was trying a little something different. I love how the eyes came out so much. She looks like she could beat you up. And considering she's supposed to be a weapon, I'd say that's pretty on brand. I hope you guys love this look as much as I do. She was a labor of love and a bundle of nerves because I've never pulled off a look this crazy before. If you like this video and you like what I do here, why not subscribe? Because I got more makeup videos planned for the future, including my next big makeup series. I also have a Ko-fi if you want to support my cosmetic and/or fangirl shenanigans and maybe help me pay a bill or two. Also, makeup supplies are not cheap, y'all. Also, by the time you guys are seeing this video, the pics of this look are already up on my Instagram for you to admire to your heart's content. So go show them some love if you're on there. And now with all of the shilling out of the way, if you're still here, thank you so much for watching. And thank you to the shadowy organization behind March Caprice for having me back again this year. I hope I encouraged some of you to stick around, but if you're just passing on through in the spirit of the season, I hope to see you all again next year. Remember to show some love to everybody else participating this year. And until next time, may your heart be your guiding key, and happy March Caprice, everybody!